Are you totally overwhelmed? If you are overwhelmed, overworked, and facing looming burnout, and that's what we talked about yesterday, if you're all that, there's a critical mistake I'm going to bet you're making. And you're probably making it just about every day because most people in your situation do. So what is that critical mistake? The critical mistake is this. People who are totally overwhelmed, as soon as they wake up in the morning, they feel really bad because the first thing that comes to mind is the massive workload. I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. I don't know how I'm going to get this done. Even trying to get it done is going to be miserable. I'm not going to feel good. It's not going to be great. I just don't know what to do. I want to hide under the covers. So if that describes you, if you've been in that situation, you're making a critical mistake. That one critical mistake is easy to fix, really easy, and that's why this short video is going to show you how to do it. So what's going on here? When a person does that, when a person gets up and with this horrible mindset, this terrible emotional state, they just dive right into their day, dive right into work, whatever it is. What they're not doing is they're not modifying their psychological state. And that's a huge, huge problem. A huge problem because without shifting the mindset, without getting into what I refer to as a top psychological state, it's impossible to perform well. Like, seriously, what kind of results do you expect to get if you feel terrible? If you expect, even subconsciously, a miserable day, this is honestly what you're going to get. So that's just the way it is. That's why you want to modify your psychological state. And it's very easy to do. It can be done in a very short period of time. We'll talk about that in a minute. Now, what's happening here from a neurological point of view is this. You get up, you feel overwhelmed, you feel terrible. That is a particular neurological state we call survival mode. It's a brain state with particular neurological markers, particular brain chemistry, and it totally sabotages peak performance of any kind, really. It's just absolutely terrible. So what you want to be able to do is shift out of survival mode into what we call creative mode. Creative mode, different brain state, different brainwave pattern, different neurochemistry, easily trackable, but easy to get into. Now, why is it important? It's important because when we human beings are creating, when we're doing what we love, when we're producing, being productive and creative, we feel wonderful, emotionally wonderful. We feel centered, we feel calm, we feel enjoyment, all of this. We feel really, really good. And the whole idea that life consists of brutally hard work where you don't like it, you don't feel good, is completely preposterous. It's totally counter to peak performance. And if you want to get to peak performance, if you want to be really good at what you do, and really good at life and have huge quality of life, you need to be able to get back into creative mode and to do it all the time, do it reliably. You need to be able to sense when you've shifted into survival mode, notice what that feels like immediately and train yourself then to get back to creative mode. And it's not that difficult to do. So you may be wondering, well, why didn't the educational system ever tell me about this? Well, that's because the completely useless educational system we have is a product of our culture. And our culture has been a product of one particular worldview, the Newtonian worldview, which has held Western civilization prisoner for 300 years. Even though science has disproven the validity of the Newtonian worldview over the past 100 years, proven it's completely wrong, nevertheless, it has an iron grip on our civilization still. It is the default setting. And therefore, all the conditioning you've had since you were born has reflected that. In fact, pretty much every single human communication you've ever had since you were born, think about that. Every single human communication since you were born has encapsulated this worldview and trained you in it. And that's why it seems natural to you. Struggle seems natural to you because you've been told that's how life is. But it isn't actually true. The Newtonian worldview, yes, teaches you the world around you, the external world, is impersonal, mechanistic, and hostile. It keeps you in low-level fight or flight all the time. And you've bought into this, and it's not your fault. You bought into it because the culture buys into it. And anything you're fed before you're 8 or 9 years old, you buy into automatically because you haven't got the faculty yet to be able to question it. So yeah, we're all conditioned this way. Now, how can you get out of this? First step, very simple. You want to get into a top psychological state. How are you going to do that? Very, very simple. And it's outlined as a bonus, an unannounced bonus, in the guide I taught you about yesterday, the one you can download below, which is called Crush Overwhelm Now. So we put that in as a bonus, and it will walk you through the steps you can take to put yourself into this top psychological state. It doesn't take very long. How long? Look, 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Yeah, you can take more time if you want, but if you've got 10 minutes in the morning, do you think that's a good investment of your time if it's going to make the whole day feel wonderful and make you much more productive? Of course, it's a great investment. Go do it. So there's a top psychological state. That's step one. Get yourself into this top psychological state every morning, first thing. Second thing, step number two, block off time every day where you can be creative. You can do creative things. What does that mean? Well, it could be anything. It could be playing piano. It could be drawing something. It could be woodworking. It could be fixing something. Maybe planning a surprise for your significant other. It could be anything like that. Or think of the hobbies you used to have when you were growing up, the things you were passionate about. Which ones of those have you lost totally? What would you like to get back into? Ask yourself these questions. Dive into it. Even if you've got 30 minutes a day, perfect. Do it. It'll make a huge, huge difference in your life. So again, before closing, just remember to go to the link below. Download the Crush Overwhelm Now guide so you can get into that top psychological state. And do it first thing in the morning, religiously, first thing in the morning. It only takes 10 minutes. And then you can also use that same procedure at any other time during the day when you feel yourself slipping back into survival mode. I'm Dr. Simeon Roger. Take care. We'll see you next time.